My Hmong name is C, and my English name is Elizabeth. So I am 52 years old, and I turned 50 in 2023. In 1979, my family was sponsored by a church in Cedar, Iowa. So we lived in Oskaloosa, Iowa for several years before moving to Eau Claire in 1985. We were sponsored by the Christian Reformed Church in Iowa, and their support was very life-changing for us. They provided us with a private education at a Christian school. They helped with transportation. They helped my father find a job, and eventually helped us find a home that my father purchased. So it was the summer of 1985 when we moved to Eau Claire because my father wanted to be with family. We moved from a one-story home to a two-bedroom apartment with 9 of us sharing this tiny apartment. We came from a place where we had financial security to where my dad didn't work, and so we were on welfare. So financially, that was really challenging for us. So some of the biggest challenges that I faced in the Chippewa Valley growing up was the discrimination. I remember in school being bullied by our white classmates and often was told, go back to your own country, and not knowing and understanding, but I am. I had a teacher in 10th grade who, my name is spelled X-E-E, and so he, in the beginning, would say, he would call me she, because he said in front of the whole class, well, X is pronounced sh in Chinese, so of course your name is pronounced she. And after many corrections, he finally called me by the correct pronunciation. The best thing that happened to me during high school was when I was enrolled in the EIP program. So EIP is the Early Identification Program, which is part of the Wisconsin Educational Opportunity Program, so WEOP. And Bonnie Dockery, she was the director at the time, and she took a lot of our Hmong kids who were enrolled in EIP to visit college campuses and do activities that we normally wouldn't be able to do, like going to the skating rink and just having picnics and potlucks for fun. And so she really was someone who I felt was a powerful advocate for me. I knew I needed to stop that cycle of poverty, and the only way to do that was to go to college. So I had a child during my last year of school, so my senior year, I had Tiffany, and we took her to daycare there. So I had to work really hard to make sure that I was earning grades that would get me into college, and knowing that I had to also be a mom to Tiffany and a wife as well. And it's hard, being a teenager, you still want to go and have fun, but that choice to marry young and that choice to have a child made me grow up. And so my responsibilities and my mindset shifted to finish high school and go to college. And so I did go to college. I attended UW Eau Claire right after high school, but it took a detour. I had another child, and then we had to go to work. We couldn't stay on welfare. We did get assistance through the government, and I knew that wasn't something that I wanted to do long term. So I went to work, my husband went to work, and on and off, I attended college classes, and eventually I stopped. I couldn't continue. So I finally went back as a non-traditional student when I was in my 30s, and I went back for social work. And so that was a long college career for me, and I was able to finish it and got my first job with Mayo Clinic, and I'm still there. So, in a roundabout way I got there. It may not have been the fastest or the easiest, but the goal was always in sight, was I needed to finish college, whether or not it was 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It was a goal, and I achieved it, and I felt pretty proud of myself for having done that. Helping people has always been very natural for me because we as children, we had to help our parents. We filled out forms and we interpreted for them. So that was just part of what I did growing up, and it just naturally led to my profession right now. Is just, hey, I just want to do what I'm good at, and that's being a social worker who wears many, many different hats. So that's something that I feel that I excel at, and I'm very happy to be in this profession because I'm able to help so many different people in many different ways. When I first started working for Mayo Clinic, I knew that I wanted to help our Hmong community in understanding their health better, because I saw on a daily basis that many didn't understand what they had, and they didn't understand the diet they had to be on. They didn't have the support, they didn't know how to navigate and who to ask questions. My professional lens as a social worker, what I see is that it's our Hmong people needing to understand the impact of health, both physical and mental, and how our daily habits, including activity level and lifestyle choices, directly influence our overall well-being. So, there's still a significant need for culturally relevant health education to really bridges the traditional practices with the modern health knowledge. And so that's been a goal of mine. That's why I'm working on the mental health conference, chronic health workshops, to really make sure our community understands, some of these serious chronic health conditions that's affecting our Hmong community. Some other challenges that I see within our Hmong community that we're still facing is maintaining certain cultural traditions that may not be healthy for us. For example, excessive toasting at Hmong weddings, drinking at funerals excessively, and they all negatively impact our health. I know that we're trying to preserve our cultural identity, and that's really important too, but we have to learn to adapt, or we need to let go of some of these practices just in order to gain healthier behaviors that will prolong and improve our long-term health and well-being in our community. I feel very proud that I was able to obtain my graduate degree while raising 4 children and working full-time. I'm very proud of having organized, being a co-founder of Change Emerge at Mayo Clinic with my Hmong colleagues, and that we're able to really help educate our Hmong community about mental health and chronic health. My hope for the Hmong community in the next 50 years, I want our Hmong community to stay true to their roots. I want them to continue to be proud of their heritage and to wear their Hmong clothing proudly when they're out in public. I want them to be able to still speak the Hmong language 50 years from now. And that can only happen if we continue speaking the language to our parents, to our children, to our friends, as much as we can, so that we don't lose that. 50 years later, and there's still so many people who don't realize why we are here in the United States. And that's not surprising, because we were involved in a secret war that the American public was not made aware of, right? And so we can also do our part in educating the larger community and learning about why we are here and sharing our rich and beautiful culture with them.